Hey guys, it's your girl Nick. Welcome to another edition of the Bo Knows Business. Listen, I am the biggest fan of every single one of our Bo sisters. You know by now that Bo is a collective of 50 businesses, 52 Black women businesses who have all grown and scaled their businesses to over $1 million each. They are coming on here, sharing their stories, telling about their childhood, their influences, what really helped them on their road to entrepreneurship. And they're also going to basically keep it real with you, tell you what the struggles and the solutions that they have found that really help them, and they want to help you as well. So today I get one of my best friends, my sister. Like, my job is so daggone easy. I mean, I just get to sit and talk with my super friends, my super girlfriends. Today we have Ciemone Sheppard of Ciemone Inc. She is a financial empowerment expert. How about that? All right. So will you guys join me in welcoming my girl, Miss Ciemone?
Hi, everyone. How are you? Nick, it's so great to be on this show. I'm so happy to be influencing all the amazing women out there listening.
Girl, you are amazing. We are, I love you. I know that it feels like I've known you for such a long time. It's been a
Yeah.
couple of years, but you have had a tremendous influence on my life. And we'll talk about that later. Not just my financial life, my business life, but my spirit, my soul. And I'm so grateful to know you, girl.
You too. Thanks, Nick.
All right, so we're going to get started just like we do every week. We're turning this into the Michelle Obama becoming story because we got a lot of girls out there who, they are brilliant and bold, but they don't know that we didn't just wake up like this. Like, we had several steps in our journey on becoming entrepreneurs, women that are influential. And we're going to get started with yours, girl. Now, I happen to know it, but I want you to share. All right. Like, Miss Ciemone, tell me where you were born, girl. Like, tell me the corners, where go back to the beginning where
Wow.
little Ciemone, where did you play, girl? Tell me how you were rolling back in the day.
Oh, wow. Little girl, Simone went to Catholic school actually as a elementary school, St. Joseph the Carpenter in Rosedale, New Jersey. So we were just private school kids, right? Both my parents grew up in the inner city, and we were able to just come out of that situation. My dad being an accountant, 40 years, my mom an entrepreneur. It was being pushed to do great things. They never limited my thinking as a child. And I think that has really shaped me as an adult because I just never feel like there's any limits. There's, sky's the limit, as they always say. So I did live half my life in Roselle, New Jersey. I went to private school, and in public school, I was one of the first African Americans in my elementary school in Hillsborough.
That's so crazy when you say that story. You, if I may say, fabulous and 40, I don't think of integration as being, beyond, I'm 50, beyond my generation. So, that's always an interesting, that strikes me. That you were one of the trailblazers in your community, huh?
It was not very diverse, but I honestly feel like that helped me in this industry that I am in today, right?
Okay.
Because there are not a lot of minorities. And I feel like whatever room we go in, we have to feel comfortable in, right?
How did you feel in that first room, though? Like, we know the iconic picture of Ruby Bridges, going in. Yours probably wasn't that dramatic, although one of our both sisters, her father was one of the sheriffs that would escort Ruby Bridges, girl.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
it's so
Wow.
incredible. So I definitely have that in my brain. But like, how do you remember being a child? Did you experience was it a hurtful experience? Were they welcoming? What did that do for you as a young girl?
I think it helped me to brace my uniqueness. I was a tall, skinny kid with a lot of blonde hair, blue-eyed girls. And I really, honestly, as a kid, felt that I was the most beautiful person in the room. I always
Yes.
was encouraged by, my mom, my dad, that you're just so beautiful. I attribute my work ethic definitely to my mother, because I probably was the only fifth grader coming to school with a briefcase and a suit
What
jacket.
up, girl? Little
Yes,
Simone. I love it. Oh, you never told me that, girl. You
I
have
was definitely a diva. I look back at some of my school pictures, like, why am I wearing a business suit in fifth grade?
you
It's
were
my mom.
envision. Now, did you pick it? Sorry, I'm already breaking my rules of talking over you, but girl,
Okay.
so did you say I want a suit, or did mom say, "Hey, girl"?
Mom,
Yes.
she was an Ivy League. She went to Smith College, and she always prepared us for excellence. That's one thing I will always say. She prepared us to just go out there and be great. Our appearance made a difference, and when you show up, you show out, right? And
I know
so
that's
I,
right.
I,
You gotta give me a picture, girl. I need a daggone picture of
I will
you with your
send
boots.
it. I felt, like I said, always had that, mentality of just,
Yeah.
there's great things out here. My dad, I mentioned being in financial services and accounting for 40 years. I at 13 had my own bank account, and it was forecasting and budgeting. So I think that prepared me
Yes.
for the industry that I was in. And I personally, it wasn't a racist town. I didn't feel that I had a childhood that was abusive with other children, bullying. It was a childhood where I felt like I was the best person in the room. I was unique. And I felt like whatever room, again, that I'm going into, I belong there. And, I never felt uncomfortable. And it helps me now in the future, because I'm in a lot of rooms where I'm the only one, and I feel no different.
I
I
know
got
that's
value.
right.
I know my value. I know I belong here. And that's what that taught me at that age. I have value. I know I belong here. And that's where I feel today.
Oh, well, let me just tell you. So this is our sixth interview in the series, right? And
Right.
I keep using the analogy because there are a lot of similarities. You guys are each giving me pearls, and
Oh,
each of those pearls there are a lot of the same strands are running true. And I'm to be sure, this does not mean that every story is like this, but I will say it is consistent that the parents of each of your both sisters today were amazing influences on their daughters.
yes.
Number two, they all demanded excellence. Those parents demanded excellence, and the confidence that they loved you so openly and so consistently that you saw your value, and it was rooted very, very early.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. And I am grateful to my mom and dad, because, they never limited my thinking. It's like, I can do it, and they're like, you can do whatever you want to do. There was no boundaries, right?
No
So
limit
I,
soldiers.
I value that. And it has definitely shaped me today that, if I dream it, I can do it.
Girl, well, listen, I get that sense. You have emblazed in my consciousness you with a daggone briefcase as a child. Like,
It's
I
great.
set for
I'll
life
send you the
now.
pictures.
Can't wait to see that. All right, so that's your first chapter, and
Yeah.
I get it, and I keep telling my both sisters, you all are not just helping people with their business. You're really helping them as people. You're helping them be better parents, so that
Yeah.
when one of our sisters said that her parents were like, you get money for A's. You can do whatever you want, but you must get A's. The other ones, the same thing. This striving for excellence. So we know what your childhood was like. Now, tell me what your first career step was and what that transition into entrepreneurship. What was the thing that made you step out on your own?
Honestly, it was time. I really don't think I'm employable. Right out of college, I got into the network engineering space,
Okay.
and I recognized how much time I had to spend behind a computer. I had no social interaction, and it was lonely, days and hours, working. And granted, it was great pay, but it was a turning point for me when I could not take a long lunch break. I had to get back by a certain time. And I recognized that I just wanted to own my time.
Yes.
And what
Yes.
is the value of that? What are
Yes.
you selling your time for? I would help bring on large clients as my career progressed. And I realized too that I could do the same thing that I'm doing for others for my own business. So
Yes.
I immediately, took a risk and just started my own company because I knew the same effort that I put in for anyone else's business that I could do it for my own. And it was boring, the network engineering space. I just, it was lonely just
Yeah.
all day and night and just emails and just hours and hours that you really do sell your time.
Yes.
And that was what drove me to say there has to be a quality of life
Yeah.
behind a career. And if you're not passionate about what it is that you're doing and you're doing it, just because, it's a good income and you
Yeah.
really are not happy, there's no better time to take a leap than now, right? Because we cannot get back our time, right?
Cannot.
We
No,
can
you cannot.
only go forward. So that's what I felt. I felt at the age of 25 that I couldn't see myself doing this for the next 10, 20 years. It was not something that I was happy with doing.
So tell me, I 1000% understand it. It takes me back to when I first met you. We really were kindred spirits. We met at a conference, a We Bank conference, and we just had this deeply a soul connection experience. But you shared with me again that how you have always had a great appreciation for your time, the quantify that how that is currency for you. Now I love that. It is a pearl. It is something that I believe entrepreneurs sets entrepreneurs apart, because some people value security more than time and diversity that you get in the time, right? So I really think that you've given us a pearl there. Now tell me, insurance, that was your first very successful business with your husband. How does one start down that path and not only get in that path, but create a multi-million dollar business out of an industry, as you alluded to, that is very, very competitive, very, not black women saturated. I won't say it's friendly or not, but it is not saturated with African American women. How did you get in, and tell us, because I know the story of how you saw it before it actually existed.
Right. Well, you have to be able to take information in, right? And I didn't jump in the industry thinking I knew everything, but I went out and looked for mentors and I went to seek people who were successful in this space. And I took time to just absorb and be a sponge. And for me, it's being able to operate as though you are already successful, right? So every day I knew you had to obviously bring on clients when you first start a business, but I knew it was experience that you needed. So going after one of the largest contracts that I got, I had a foundation to start, right? Because I had the knowledge, I had the tools. But the experience was also a challenge when you're starting out, which a lot of business owners I know
Yeah.
have that same issue. But if you go in with confidence, like you belong, and I remember going up against the largest contract that I had for my business, I was competing with the 5 or 6 of the top companies out there. What I did was very different than most people, was thinking outside the box, right? I actually brought flew my underwriter with me to the meeting to actually discuss the proposal.
Right.
It was something that they never saw happen. You know, underwriters are usually never leaving the
Right, girl. They're in a little cave in the back of the banks.
Whoever do you know when you go to buy a house is bringing the mortgage, a loan officer or
That's
the
hot,
underwriter
girl.
with you. So I had a great rapport, and I knew I wanted to set myself apart, and that was key to winning one of the largest clients that we have. Was just thinking outside the box and positioning your
Yes.
resources, right? Because when you
Yes.
think about it, you got to learn to set yourself apart from everyone else.
Yes.
What can you do differently? That's across all industries.
That's true.
What can you do to set yourself apart? And I can honestly tell you, I always do that with most of my business. I do not operate as just, just your average person. I'm going to do something unique, and you'll always remember me.
I will. Well, that no truer words are spoken. So I want to get more into the substance of Ciemone Inc. I will. Oh, okay. I'm being very careful. I know all of the landmines with finances. So I want to pull back. And you call yourself a financial empowerment specialist. I really think especially for women, especially for people of color that don't really have generational wealth just passing down. Finances, money, credit, these are all topics that we've learned to be quiet about, that we don't talk about money. We don't talk about the importance of credit or really know why. We don't talk about insurance because we don't want to die. There's so many things in terms of wealth and wealth management that I think we disempower ourselves, number one, because we don't know. And number two, because we're too ashamed to say we don't know and to get help. And that's what you're setting out to do. What makes you different? And how can you help people feel more empowered to educate themselves about money?
Yes. So what makes me different is I understand people, right? And you really have to get into the psychology of a person's, what they learned about money. What did they hear as a child? What are they doing now? Why are they doing it now? Because there's a correlation between money, and some people use it too as a comfort, right? Spending money on things when they're stressed out, like how do you use money? So I typically want to get the best advice I got was to understand your why first.
Okay.
Why do we want to create wealth? Why do you want to save? What is your bucket? What does wealth buy you? What does wealth buy you? Financial freedom.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not financially free, are you free? Right?
Right.
You're still going to be a slave to whatever it is that you're doing. Wealth and financial freedom buys you what? Time. And if you remember, I value my time, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what the goal is. If you first take steps back and understand why you're doing the things you're doing, it's to create time, right? You're in the accumulation phase, most people, with their working, growing the business. But once you're done with all that, you want to be able to enjoy your time, right? Discover opportunities, travel with your family and loved ones, because that's really all that matters, right?
Well, it is, but I'm gonna pause you there because I know, again, your why. What if your why is I want to feel better about myself? So I want to wear things that make me feel good. I want to spend it on things that make me feel good. I want to purchase cars because other people will think that I have status. That is a real that's a real driver. How do you, and this is really important, how do you reshape that narrative, Ciemone, about your value being on the outside? Because the things you're talking about, I think it is true that yes, having money in the bank, that gives you security, but that first level, people feel like I want people to know what I have. I want them to, it's not enough to have the wealth. I want people to know I have it. How do you help reshape that narrative?
It is delayed gratification, like that is key. Can you wait a year or two? It's seeing the end game, right?
Yeah.
If you start a race and you're just it seems very stressful in the beginning because you got to work hard, but
Yes.
when you get to that finish line, it is amazing. So I start at the finish line with most of my clients, and then we
Show
work
them where they're going to go.
correct. If you know the end game, it helps you with the beginning, right?
It
Helps
you stay focused, right? It helps you.
All you got to know is give it 5 years, give it 10 years, give it 15 years. You can have all the cars or houses. I have clients that, what, Ciemone, I have a goal of this X by this time. Let's work backwards. If you set the goal first, I know what great goals are. So I usually, help my clients set them. But if you personally say, I know at the end of the rainbow is a pot of gold, and you actually see that pot of gold, right?
Yeah.
That's the goal. Your money has to start making you more money.
Yes.
Right? If you spent $1,000 on a car a month, but that $1,000 went into a bucket to grow, now you use the growth to purchase that item. If that makes sense.
Yes.
So you got to start looking at, I might have to delay that 1 month, but then whatever my gain was, I can come back to it, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. It's a different narrative. That's what I'm saying. And I think that's, you're showing people how to be empowered over time. And you're also showing them how to stay focused on that goal. I want to ask you, going down that line. So, I'm a client, say I'm trying to be a client of Ciemone Inc. I'm trying to really talk about that next generation. Like, I got enough, I'm making ends meet. I have a little left over. What are the 3 or 4 pillars that you believe you need in order to transfer wealth to the next generation? Generational wealth is very important. What types of things should we be doing? 1, 2, 3, 4. If what are the top decisions, top investments that we should not, let me strike that, not investments, but just generally, what should I educate myself about? How about that? What 3 things should I learn more about?
Well, it's definitely going to be where you are now and what, I always operate as if something happened tomorrow, right? What does that look like, right? If you're planning for whether it's wealth transfer, if you have a family, create a spreadsheet and put all your things on paper. That's first what I do with my clients. We have to write it out to know where things are. And then you find out they discover things that they never knew they had. And we try to we call it fact finding. Let's figure out all the facts, right? And then understanding the laws. We don't even know about probate and, different things that are factors, estate taxes. Know your numbers. It's important to know where you fall. At a certain level, if you don't have the right trusts in place and different things, you end up leaving a lot to the state, right? So you really want to make sure that you are knowing where your assets are, writing out everything, knowing your numbers, knowing your goals. It's just like you set your business goals, Nick. When you write out your business goals, you have to have the same type of energy for your financial goals.
Yes.
And when I work with my clients, it's kind of like therapy sessions a lot of times, because people have unpacked a lot of things from their past that you got to understand. I was with a client and she said, I had my mom and dad always told me not to do this. They were always spenders. I like you said, fancy things. And I just, spenders. Some people just are spenders. So it's really shifting your mindset and your narrative of, hey, you can be a saver. And when my clients start seeing the growth and different things, it is actually exciting to watch.
Like, it's another obsession, right? Like, they transfer it from that instant gratification to watching my mother, my cute little mom. She worked for 40 years. She had her 401k, and I said, you beat the game of life. Like, She put her kids through school. She's able to retire. She was able to help my grandmother who recently passed in her older age and still has wealth, because of watching her 401k grow. So I love what you're doing. I am already 5 minutes over because that's what we do. When we start talking, it's just amazing. So before I let you go, I want to talk about Bo. All
Yes.
right. So tell me, I've asked each of our Bo sisters, why did you say yes to this crazy idea, and what are you getting from it? What makes Bo and the women of Bo so special?
Wow. I love the sisterhood that you created. And it's just the authenticity, it's genuine connection that, a lot of groups who genuinely are intentional about working together, sharing businesses. I mean, throughout the day, there's just hundreds of connections happening and business opportunities presenting themselves. And it's intentional. That's really what I love about Bo. We are intentional about supporting each other in our business growth. And that is the main reason why I love being a part of Bo, is just watching this sisterhood blossom into amazing women that we can, bounce ideas off of, grow our businesses together. I love fellowshipping and traveling and doing things with each other. Because again, he's like, you guys, we're all like the sisters I always wish I had, even though I have a sister. Hi, Brittany.
But that business sister, it's great to talk about, love and relationships and community service. But when we make it a priority to make money together,
Wow.
I mean, that is it is a whole different thing, and I'm just so grateful that you said yes, that you are helping on our leadership team, getting the word out, and just being just an all around great authentic person trying to help not only our sisters but our community transfer wealth and get wealth, get that money, girl.
Yes.
See money. I love it. I love you, girl. How can our friends that are watching, I know they're going to want to know more. How can we stay in touch?
Well, you can visit me at www.ciemoneinc.com.
Awesome, girl. It's been a pleasure always. Thank you so much for joining us today. And that concludes this edition of the Bo Knows Business. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. We're really talking about some key issues with wealth, empowerment, really reshaping the narrative about money and wealth. Join us again next week. Follow Ciemone and get your money on, girls and guys. Take care.